In the headlines, 9 years after abduction of Chibok girls, United Nations Children Fund says 6,800 Northeast children subjected to rights violations. Police rescue 9 abducted victims in Tsafi local government area of Zamfara state. 200 shops razed, goods worth millions of naira destroyed in Port Harcourt market fire incident. And on the foreign scene, 4 starved to death, 11 hospitalized in Kenya after being manipulated into fasting by pastor. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin in the Northeast, where the United Nations Children's Fund says over 6,800 children living in the Northeast have been subjected to grave violations of their rights. In a press release on Friday, UNICEF representative in Nigeria, Christian Monduate, lamented the brutal consequences of conflict on children 9 years after 276 schoolgirls were abducted in Chibok and 96 girls are still in captivity. She noted the impact of the conflict on education is alarming, with repercussions likely to affect generations, stressing its devastating reality. She added that the recent abduction of 80 children in Zamfara state reinforces the urgent need for action to protect children in Nigeria. Explaining the devastating effects, Monduate said since 2014 there have been over 2,400 incidents of grave violations verified, affecting over 6,800 children in the Northeast. Meanwhile, Amnesty International has decried what it describes as the utter failure of the Nigerian authorities to learn from the heartbreak of Chibok town in Borno state and ultimately to protect children. The non-governmental organization made the assertion in a statement on Friday upon the backdrop of the 9th anniversary of Boko Haram's abduction of 276 students from a girls' secondary school in Chibok. At least 98 girls are reportedly still being held by Boko Haram, and a slew of abductions have taken place since. Amnesty International noted that since the Chibok schoolgirls were abducted by Boko Haram, other schools have been targeted, with girls being abducted, raped, killed or forced into marriages. Acting Director of Amnesty International Nigeria, Isa Sanusi, said parents of the 98 Chibok girls who are still being held by Boko Haram, as well as other children abducted by gunmen, are living in anguish, knowing that their children are in the hands of ruthless individuals who subject their loved ones to chilling brutalities. Adding that the missing Chibok schoolgirls should be returned home to their families, and all those responsible for committing grave violations must face justice. And to politics now, where the Kano State Governor-elect Abba Kabir Yusuf has again issued a public advisory on alleged use of public funds to finance Saturday's supplementary elections in the state. Now, this is contained in a statement issued on Friday in Kano by the Chief Press Secretary Sanusi Dawakin Tofa. The statement said the NMPP is in possession of credible information that Kano State government has directed the release of 61 million naira to Dogwa, over 60 million naira to Nasarawa, over 60 million naira to Wudil local government areas for supplementary elections, while other local government councils were also listed to receive hundreds of millions of naira to fund the elections. The statement said that the money was released solely for sponsoring political thugs to unleash violence on innocent citizens and residents during the supplementary elections in the state. It warned that anybody found wanting on this scandal will face the necessary action in the most appropriate time. And still staying in Kano, ahead of the Saturday's National and State Assembly supplementary polls in the state, the State Police Command has confirmed that it has made adequate arrangements to ensure safe conduct of the elections. Addressing divisional police officers of the command, AIG in charge of Kano supplementary elections says adequate number of personnel were deployed to the affected local government areas to ensure a hitch-free exercise. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril now reports.
These are divisional police officers across Kano State meeting to strategize how effective to police Kano, especially areas where the supplementary elections will be conducted this coming Saturday. According to the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Kano Election Security, AIG Ibrahim Sani, officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force in collaboration with sister security agencies have since been deployed to the affected local government areas of the state.
At all levels of policing, professional and proactive approaches shall be adopted. It is worthy to note that in all policing activities, community policing, partnership, support and participation will not be undamaged. In view of the affirmation, I hereby assure the good people of Kano State that the police, in conjunction with sister security forces, will ensure a level playing ground for all actors in the forthcoming election.
The AIG further warned politicians to stay away from inciting violence during the exercise, as police has since made adequate arrangement to prosecute anyone who may interfere with the peaceful conduct of the election process.
Security engagement shall be strictly professional, with zero tolerance for unethical conduct, corrupt and practice and right violation. I therefore declare an onslaught on all various activities within the state and pledge my dedication and commitment to public safety, by extension, the peaceful conduct of the forthcoming election.
Meanwhile, Police Commissioner in charge of Kano Election Security, CP Mohammed Gomel, reveals that over 300 electoral offences were recorded in Kano during the last governorship and state assembly election.
It is on the foregoing that all police commands have been directed by the Inspector General of Police to collaborate with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in ensuring that all these electoral offenders are expeditiously and transparently prosecuted, not only in the interest of criminal justice delivery, but in furtherance of the vision of the Nigerian Police Force to sanitize the country's democratic space.
It is expected that a supplementary election will be held in 2 federal constituencies of Dogwa, Tudunwada and Fage, as well as almost 13 local government for the State Assembly supplementary elections. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Meanwhile, the police in Zamfara State say they have rescued 9 abducted victims who were abducted at Kuchiri village in Safi local government area of the state. A statement by the command's public relations officer, Chief Superintendent of Police Muhammad Shehu, on Thursday said police tactical operatives have successfully rescued 9 hostages comprising of 7 females and 2 males who were abducted on the 11th of April 2023. He said the rescue of the victims was sequel to credible information obtained from a Good Samaritan, which the police used to successfully rescue the victims unhurt. According to the police, the victims have undergone medical check at its police facility in Gusau, debriefed by the police detectives, and thereafter reunited with their families. The Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, congratulates the victims for regaining their freedom and assures the public of sustained onslaught against the activities of terrorists and other criminal elements in the state. And still talking security, police operatives from Kurfi division of the local government area in Katsina State repelled 2 suspected bandits at Lagwarwa village. The police, led by DPO Kurfi, engaged the terrorists in a gun duel when they attacked the residence of one Sarikin Fulani Damarke in Lagwarwa ward. The police, after rescuing the victim, chased the terrorists away, with several of them believed to have escaped with gunshot wounds. The gallant police officers have also recovered all the cows rustled by the terrorists and 1 operational motorcycle. Spokesman of the Katsina Police Command, CSP Gambo Isa, confirmed the attack, assuring that search parties are combing the nearby bushes to recover the wounded for more repelled terrorists. The command is appealing to residents to provide any credible information that may lead to defeating the terrorists and all their collaborators. Meanwhile, the Osun State Police Command has arrested 25 suspected members of secret cults for attacking residents of Ile-Ife. Pandemonium broke out in Ile-Ife on Monday when the cultists went on rampage, vandalizing valuable property and injured scores of people. Police swiftly swung into action, arrested the suspects and detained them at the police headquarters in Osogbo, the state capital, for investigation. The Assistant Police Public Relations Officer for the command, Theophilus Adeshokan Adekola, said peace and orderliness has been restored in Ile-Ife after the arrest of the suspects. Some of the suspects confirmed their membership of secret cults, while some denied.
Concerning the issue that happened in Ile-Ife, where some suspected cultists vandalized properties and caused grievous harms to some members of the public, I would like to make it clear that normalcy has been returned to Ile-Ife and there is peace and order as we speak. And the suspected cultists arrested are still being investigated as we speak, and upon completion of investigation, they will be charged to court.
Meanwhile, fire has razed down property worth millions of naira in Ojoto Market, Mile 2, Diobu, Port Harcourt, in Port Harcourt City local government area of Rivers State. The fire, which started almost around 10 p.m. on Thursday night, razed down over 200 shops. The chairman of the market, Arinze Okukwe, who spoke about the incident, said he had to call people around the market to help put out the fire after he was alerted by a security officer in the market. Okukwe said he went to the State Fire Service for assistance, but was referred to the Federal Fire Service. He said 80% of the market had already burnt down before the Federal Fire Service arrived at the scene. The market chairman also noted that firemen were attacked by hoodlums to pave way for them to loot the remaining goods in the market. He said it took the intervention of the Azikiwe Divisional Police Headquarters to rescue personnel of the fire service. When contacted, the Commander, Federal Fire Service in River State, Abdullahi Alpha, confirmed the attack on his men and their truck, describing it as unfortunate. Still with us on Trust TV News Update. Still ahead, we take a look at the race to produce a speaker for the 10th Assembly. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They have served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnbawards.ng and follow our social media handles at TNB Awards.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap our top stories. 9 years after abduction of Chibok girls, United Nations Children's Fund says 6,800 Northeast children subjected to rights violations. And police rescue 9 abducted victims in Tsafe local government area of Zamfara State. And in other news, the Lagos State government has stopped further work on the 7-story building under construction, which collapsed on Wednesday in highbrow Banana Island. The 25 construction workers who were trapped in the building have been rescued. 16 of them who were injured taken to hospital for treatment. To facilitate the rescue operation, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Thursday stopped all building construction processes in the island to give room for a comprehensive audit by the officials of the Lagos State Building Control Agency. The State's Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, who disclosed this in a statement, said the state government had launched a probe into the incident. He said the Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, has visited the sites and hospitals where victims of the incident were admitted, noting that of the 25 persons rescued by LASEMA, 16 had moderate injuries, were admitted at General Hospital Oda, Lagos Island, and Police Hospital Falomo for treatment and care. Now, with less than 2 months to the inauguration of members of the 10th House of Representatives, the race to produce the Speaker is in top gear. Over 10 members-elect are indicating interest to occupy the number 4 seat in Nigeria. In this analysis, our reporter takes a look at how zoning and other factors may influence who becomes the Speaker in the 10th Assembly. Let's take a look.
The current National Assembly was inaugurated in June 2019 and the 10th is expected to be inaugurated at the same time this year. The race to produce the Speaker has thrown up more than 10 contenders, with the latest declaration of interest coming from a female contender, Mariam Onoha from Imo State. Onoha has asked her male counterparts to step down for her following her legislative expertise.
In almost all, about 90 positions of this country, the men have dominated it. Ceding this one position to me will be a way of proving that we are running an inclusive government.
The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, has met with some aspirants vying to succeed him, but is quick to point out that he has no preferred candidate. The Speaker, in a tweet via his verified Twitter handle, also denied backing Tajuddin Abbas, a lawmaker from Kaduna State, to succeed him. Gbajabiamila has refuted a report that claims he is working against other aspirants, including Idris Wase, the current Deputy Speaker. Rather, he says he advised the aspirants to be patient until the APC zones the position. However, lawmakers are seemingly divided over which geopolitical zones should produce the next set of leaders of the federal parliament.
I believe in the supremacy of the party. That is key. You can have your aspiration, you can dream. Dream is free. You know, aspiration, ambition is free. But it must be within the control of the platform for which you got to the house.
I think this is the second time in the history of Nigeria that we're having the Muslim ticket that succeed at the polls. And what that implies is Nigeria has grown past religion or ethnic sentiment.
What I want for the 10th Assembly, I want to contest for speakership. I've done it in the last assembly, where the president called us and said that, okay, he wants us to support Baja, where we sat down and really I supported Baja 100%. The way I move on with my colleagues, I don't think if I contest, I will lose. I have hope.
The contestants in the race, though vastly experienced in legislative business, may negotiate with the strongest contender if the ruling party insists on zoning the position of the Speaker to any of the 6 geopolitical zones. The new members-elect are predominantly greenhorns who do not understand the dynamics of how the parliament operates, which is why even the minority see themselves as the greater majority.
House of Representatives.
If the ruling party decides to zone the position, contestants from the Northwest, Northeast and North Central are likely to get to the finish line. But then, any of these three zones can conveniently produce the speaker with zoning or no zoning.
Now for a look at the foreign scene, where 4 people on Thursday were found dead and nearly a dozen others hospitalized in Kenya's coastal Kilifi County after being rescued while waiting the imminent end of the world. The police said the victims were believed to be members of Pastor Paul Mackenzie's Good News International Church, say they had been told to fast to avoid apocalyptic damnation. The authorities said they rescued 11 people. 6 of them were emaciated and in critical condition. Police said they will resume a search for more members of the group on Friday morning, following reports that others were still in the forest. The self-styled spiritual leader, who was once a controversial televangelist, has been on the detective list for allegedly preaching a dangerous doctrine that encourages his followers to starve themselves to death in order to reach heaven faster. The pastor is currently out on police bail after he was charged last month over the death of 2 children whose parents are among his followers. President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo has ruled out political conversations with the M23 rebels organization. The group has started leaving territories it had taken over as part of peace agreement that was mediated by an international organization. According to the deal, the M23 rebels must demobilize before going back to civilian life. The organization, which is widely believed to have Rwanda's support, had earlier stated that it anticipated holding talks with the Kinshasa government. According to reports, the peace process might falter if the president rejects that. About 250,000 people have been displaced by the violence over the past 18 months. The M23 rebellion was an armed conflict in North Kivu, Democratic Republic of Congo, that occurred between the March 23rd movement and government forces between April 4th, 2012 and the 7th of November 2013. It ended when a peace agreement was made among 11 African nations, and the M23 troops surrendered in Uganda. The rebellion was part of continued fighting in the region after the formal end of the Second Congo War in 2003. Meanwhile, in South Africa, a fugitive rapist and murderer who left a burnt corpse in his cell in an attempt to fake his own death during a daring jailbreak has returned to prison after fleeing to Tanzania, according to officials on Thursday. The case has embarrassed South African authorities and sparked fresh outrage over the competence of the country's police and criminal justice system. Dubbed the Facebook rapist Thabo Bester, who was sentenced to life in prison for rape, robbery and murder in 2012, lured victims on the social media platform before raping and robbing them. He killed at least 1 victim. Although he escaped from a privately run prison in Bloemfontein almost a year ago, South African police say they have only found out last month. A charred body of a man was found in Bester's cell in May 2022, leading the country's prison authorities to believe at first that he had set himself on fire. DNA evidence later reveals that the body belonged to someone else, and police launched a murder investigation late last month. And in sports, Gombe United goalkeeper Itodo Ako has revealed that it will be difficult to beat the record for most clean sheets in the Nigeria Premier Football League this season. The Savannah Scorpions captain recorded his 6th clean sheet of the season in their 1-0 win against El Kanemi Warriors in their March Day 13 fixture. Ako, however, believes that with consistency and hard work, he can continue to aspire to achieve the feat. Adewale Adeyinka has the record for the cleanest sheets, 16 in the MPFL, which he set in Accra United's title-winning season in 2021. Remo Stars' Kayode Bankwale tops the chart for the cleanest sheets with 11 this season. And in tennis, Rafael Nadal has withdrawn from the Barcelona Open, saying he's still not ready to return to the men's ATP Tour. The 36-year-old Nadal has been struggling with an ongoing hip injury That has also kept him out of this week's Monte Carlo Masters. Nadal, who is ranked 14th in the world, was diagnosed with a left hip injury after he was beaten in straight sets by McDonald in the second round in Melbourne. The anticipated recovery time was 6 to 8 weeks, but Nadal will not be back in action at the earliest until the Madrid Open, which starts on the 25th of April. The 22-time Grand Slam winner remains a doubt for the French Open in May, where he is defending champion. Nadal has not played since he was defeated by American Mackenzie McDonald at the Australian Open in January. The Barcelona Open, which Nadal has won 12 times, starts on Monday and is one of the last big clay court events before the French Open begins in Paris on the 28th of May. And in football, Captain Pontus Jansson will leave Brentford when his contract ends this summer to rejoin Swedish club Malmo. The 32-year-old defender began his career at Malmo before spells at the Italian club Torino and Leeds United. Jansson joined Brentford in 2019, helping the Bees earn promotion to the Premier League in 2021 after a 74-year absence from England's top flight. Jansson, who came through the youth system at hometown club Malmo before leaving for Torino in 2014, has scored 4 times in 115 games for Brentford. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. And don't forget, for more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.